Hello everyone. Hello ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Redson's channel. And my first ever try to assemble some Stormworks tutorial. Today we'll be trying to build a small helicopter from A to Z, getting it ready for a career so it will be as cheap as possible, as well as I will try to explain all the concepts I know about building Stormworks and hopefully give you some inspiration to start building your own crafts, get into logic, get into all the connections, microcontrollers, composites, all that kind of stuff that you might be scared about or not very familiar with. So we will be starting a helicopter this plane from block 1. This is, by the way, the very standard hangar size, I believe, so it should be able to fit any hangar except, of course, the train yard. If I design the land vehicles, I try to make them fit into the train yard. If we take a look, for example, at this truck, it will fit the train yard spawn. But for helicopters, it's obviously not the case because you need to fit a rotor. So let's go again. Block 1. Alright, what I want to go with is some kind of a... Let's turn on the X-axis symmetry. I will try to go a small Robinson style-like helicopter. I want to have something small and nimble, but also with the good flight qualities, I'd say. So it will be probably no doors, open, similar to the starter helicopter that you have in presets. If you open like load and get into the presets, there's some stuff that you can use straight away, like this preset helicopter. It's not bad. It's actually quite good for the starter missions. It's cheap, has nice fuel consumption, flyable. I have expanded version of the helicopter for my own needs that can fit more passengers. It's slightly elongated. But yeah, let's build something of our own. Alright, first let's have a seat. It will be the biggest seat in this helicopter. Turn off the Symmetry compact pilot seat. That has, if we turn on the logic, it has all the inputs and outputs that we need. For the axes, hotkeys, occupied, trigger, look X, look Y, some composite, output, seat data. No electrics. It has, with the new update of February, I believe it was, the headsets, so you can now mount UIs. We won't be doing that. I won't be getting into Lua too much. And well, there's a headset audio. Okay, I never really used in-game audio. Alright, so I want this helicopter to seat 4 and use padded seats for everyone who's not the pilot, so I can actually keep the width of the helicopter to 5 blocks. So the narrowest seat we have is a padded seat. Sadly, you cannot control vehicles with it directly, as you don't directly have any outputs except for the, like, is the seat occupied or not boolean. So we will be using them for passenger, and we will be using one compact pilot seat for the one who's in control, for the one who's in charge. And let's see what we can do with the frame. Turn Symmetry back again. It will be a classic composition of a helicopter, meaning that we will have one main rotor and one tail rotor to control the yaw. It's slightly different for converter plans, tandem helicopters. For example, if you have rotors on the left and right, or if you have rotors to the front and back, the flight controls will be slightly different in terms of wiring, but otherwise you can use those principles in those helicopters as well. Okay, let's go and try to make it into something small and useful that we can fly. Okay, 5 blocks wide. Can I actually make it 5 blocks wide? That's a big question. Do I want to make it 5 blocks wide and fancy? That's a bigger question. I will try. I will try to make it 5 blocks wide and fancy. Okay, let's go with the wedges here. I need a pyramid. 1 by 1 pyramid. Rotations are, if you turn on rotation labels, it will be a bit simpler when you're beginning. K is for spinning horizontally, L is for spinning like left-right direction, J is for spinning backwards rather. Yeah, and over the JKL you have UIOP, that is like different mirroring buttons. You can mirror stuff. It's very useful for the stuff that has pre-made, like, how do I say that? Directions. For example, wheels and rotors, they have preset directions of motion, like where's their front and back in terms of positive and negative values. So you need to pay attention to that. For now, we pretty fine because the pyramids can face whatever. All right, this is a very, very narrow and cramped cockpit, and it's fine. And it's fine. Let's go with the windows. Window angle. No, not that angle. 1 by 3 by 1 by 1. Yeah, here we go. Whoops. Can place it here. Okay. Let's help it a little bit. Yep, that works. That totally works. Another one or 3 by 3? 3 by 3, let's go. Control click lets you copy the blocks that are under your cursor, so we can use that. Triangle windows. Triangle windows are the most wicked one, as there's usually everything but not the window I'm looking for. Maybe that's a skill issue on my part. Alright, that one kind of works, and now I need a triangle. Should it be a pyramid? Should it be inside or outside pyramid? Okay, yeah, that one works. 3 by 1 window here. Yeah, this fits. Now we can basically copy this layout on top. No, wrong. Yeah, this one. And let's copy it. Oh. Come on. Yeah, now we can copy a small triangle. Copy another 3 by 1 for center. And yeah, there we go. And we can copy the exact same blocks on the top. Actually, I can go for another 3 by 1 here for a window. Should I? It looks nice. Looks funny. That'll do. Okay, so most of those blocks I'm placing on top and on bottom are currently like placeholders for the fuselage. You can later replace them with some more useful blocks, like if you need to cram microcontrollers or a gyro. I definitely will need to cram a gyro in here. You can just replace those blocks. If you don't need your stuff to be floaty, you can, even if you need your stuff to be floating, you can sometimes, most of times, cram those blocks into the space occupied by the regular 1x1. But we will do that a little bit later. As now I need, okay, let's do this. I place a pyramid, but I click and drag. And now we have a fancy construct. X is the shortcut for eraser. As soon as you press X, it goes into eraser mode. I usually double click that to exit the other modes. For example, if I'm in logic and where is the eraser, just double click X and you're back into building mode. Alright, let's make another one. Okay. And you can do the same with pyramids. You can pretty much do the same stuff with pyramids. Just click and drag and they will fill. They will fill the space you need to fill. Now click and drag with the blocks. As you can see, it tries to make the whole like plane with them, but actually removes the blocks that cannot be placed. So that definitely helps us. Definitely works for us. And there, I will need to make it thinner. And let's place some helping blocks for us as well. Yeah, and this will be our tail. We will be replacing the tail blocks as well with the pipes. Why do we replace it with pipes? Because the pipes are working as drive shafts. They're translating RPS from the engines, clutches, and all other RPS inducing blocks, outputs to the end users, like the tail rotors, main rotors, all that kind of different stuff. Alright, so we have our main layout of the helicopter that looks nice? No, not very nice. But that'll do. Trust me, that'll do. Okay, let's do some fancy landing gear on it. Fancy? Not fancy, just a basic one. Pipes, $5 each. Okay. So like this. Actually, we could... No, we good. I don't want it to be further away than it is right now. This and this. Again, T-pieces. Rotate. I will turn off rotation labels. You can turn them off as you need. I don't need them right now. Just blocking my line of sight. Further. That is good. And that is good as well. Okay, some fancy tube tricks if you want to do some exterior design, some style. Exhaust headers for modular engines cost just like $10 a piece. Maybe if you want to save every cent, don't use them, because they actually cost $5 more per one. But I want to use them, as I can get this kinda, I don't know. The second color in this palette is actually the color that you can paint your stuff to match the exhaust. So this is how our landing legs can look. Quite nice. Do you think it's quite nice? I would say it is nice. Alright, let's fit one of the most, let's say, important parts, the gyro. We need a 5x3 space to fit a gyro in here. The gyro is your go-to helicopter piece, basically almost out of the box. Place it like... Oh, I can't place it because game is stupid. I'm smarter than the game. I'm smarter than the game, so I will place it. If you delete it, it won't fall off. It will be holding just like every other block. You just can't place it in some specific locations. You need to place a block that you can grab firmly onto, like a regular cube, and then delete the cube, and you're good to go. Always works. Always nice. Always fun. Okay. Back part. I will explain gyro in a moment as we will start using it. Right, this here. Some more cubes. Alright, this is fine. We have a nice rear compartment. We will try to fit an engine into it. I don't actually know if we can. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. And the belts. I don't know if the 3-cylinder engine can move this thing into the air like the modular engine, but we will try. We will try because we can. Is that a wedge block? It's regular cube. This is the wedge block, and this is the regular cube as well. All right. Look, if we place a clutch in here, we could... That's a tight spacing. That's a tight spacing for a modular engine. Definitely. Let's save. Don't forget to save your creations, because Stormworks loves to crash. At least for me. It's randomly crashing. Sometimes you need to reopen the game because your ticks start to fall, like ticks per second. Server time, and it starts lagging. It gets really laggy. So you wanna save your crafts so you don't lose them. And all my helicopters start with prefix helo, and we will call it... It's Robinson-like. Let's call it Bobinson. Let's call it Bobby. Bobby. Yeah, the helicopter named Bobby. Very original. Very original. I love it. I love it so much. Rear passengers will be a little bit deafened, but we don't care about them a lot, honestly. Like, who are those rear passengers? Do you care? I don't. Alright, center of mass. That purple cube that you can turn on and off with this button is the center of mass of your craft. That means with a helicopter, you probably want your main rotor to be above, directly above the center of mass, so your gyro has less work to do correcting your inputs, correcting for the wind, all those kinds of stuff, and make it easier to control. Better weight distribution. All that stuff that we care about. Alright, do we start with the engine or with the main rotor? Let's start with the main rotor. I wanted to make like the Robinson style. I want to make it on the pylon. Because with the standard helicopter, it's actually a really big problem that you get wrecked by the blades when you get out of the helicopter. Me and my friend playing career did that on multiple occasions. So take care about yourself, keep your head low, and make pylons for your rotors. Take them higher up. It barely costs you anything, but it makes a lot safer. It makes your trip and your helicopter a lot safer. So we definitely want to go with that. Let's go with 2x1 wedges. Want it to be a little bit asymmetric to the back. Yeah, I like it. Okay, now pyramid. Four by one, 4x2, 2x4. There we go. Fantastic, fabulous, delicious, gorgeous. I probably will have to move my gyro though, because this will definitely interfering with the pipe that I will need to transfer RPS with. Yep. Alright, about cutting, copying, and pasting parts of your craft. This is the button for this, selection grid. You actually only see the ghost shadow of your craft, and this is the selection grid. It's not very obvious or intuitive how to use this tool. This is how you use it. Your main tools will be either resize, where you can resize the grid and choose the parts you need, or control click. If I control click the gyro, it automatically makes the grid as big as the gyro is. So if you have the main part and some stuff around it that you need to move it with, just control click, select it, and resize your grid as you need. I will be only moving the gyro, so now I'm cutting it and moving it and then paste. Important thing to remember is that if you have connections to it, for example logic connections to the gyro, if you want to move existing gyro with connections, be sure you paste it once, only once. On the second time you paste this gyro, like this, we can paste it indefinite amount of times. Basically, all the connections will be removed. All of the connections will be removed, and sometimes it's a lot of work. If it's like a big microcontroller, 6x5 or 6x6 giant microcontroller, you will have a hard time remembering what goes where, what kind of connections you have there. Make sure you paste it only once. The other options are reset grid, that will just basically reset your grid to its initial position. Save content as a subassembly. You can basically, if you have one really good modular engine works, just select it. Just select it, press save content, and save it as a subassembly. And clear content is when you're done with your copy and pasting operations, just click here, and there we go. We have our part pasted, but it is grayed out. Why is it grayed out? Because it's now on another subgrid. It's basically like part that is not attached to a vehicle. Our gyro is now all of itself, living its best life, all alone. So for example, if I spawn it right now, come on. Is it spawned on the helipad? Oh yes. So as you can see, our gyro is now living its best life, completely outside of the helicopter. let's go back to the workbench. And this is where the merge tool comes in play. If you need to select and merge different subgrids, this is where you go. Merge. And it has a nice color coding for different subgrids. Our gyro is now a different subgrid. We just go and connect it. If the subgrids have no direct connection to each other, they will not connect, but they can be connected in the air. So basically, if you want to connect, like for example, thing that lives somewhere out here, you just make that makeshift bridge from the blocks to it, connect it, and then delete the makeshift bridge. It will be the same subgrid, and it will be actually attached to a vehicle. Like, it will be separated, but it will be here. It will have your physics forces applied to the vehicle. So it will be like acting like the actual lever that will move around the center of mass. So pay attention to your subgrids, but honestly, you get used to it quick. You don't use it very often, and it's pretty simple to understand, at least for me. So let's continue with our helicopter. Let's make some dummy blocks here. Okay, time to start with the engine, I guess. So 3-cylinder, upside down, because we don't have a lot of space. I will be placing it upside down, and it will be 3-cylinder modular engine that will power our main rotor. I wanted to place a main rotor, I forgot about it. Main rotor and side rotor, which controls the yaw. Okay, rotor. Let's go. What do we have in options? Rotor, propeller, end. Rotor, propeller, and large. Rotor, propeller. Propeller is like the aircraft stuff, yeah? Alright, rotor, tail. Rotor, small. Helicopter rotor with controllable pitch and roll. And also the controllable collective. Collective is basically like the blade pitch in general, as you use on the aircraft. We'll just see it in a moment. Let's move the whole craft down so our rotor fits. There we go. Arrows. Arrows shows our general directions of travel, general directions of pitch and roll, general directions of controlling our blades. So, the big arrow is where the blade is pointing as the forward of the aircraft. As we will be configuring our collective, roll, and pitch, and we will be passing stuff from the gyro to it, we want this to be facing forward, away from the helicopter. I don't know if there are options available, but you generally want it to be facing forward, because then it helps you with understanding what the small arrows are for. They're indicating your pitch direction and your roll direction. So pitch plus will be pitch forward, pitch minus will be pitch backward, minus will be roll left, and plus, like horizontal arrows, plus will be pitch to the right. Why do we want it to be positioned like that? Because if we will take a look into the tooltip of our very first control point, the seat, axis 1, A and D is where I want to assign controls. For the roll, I want for the A and D to roll my aircraft left and right. And if we look at the tooltip, we can see that it outputs a standard value between -1 and 1, controlled using A and D. A causes the output value to move towards -1, and D moves it towards 1. That means when I'm pressing A, the value is decreasing from 0 to -1. And this is where I have my roll to the left. It's minus for the left, meaning that when I push on the A real hard and long, I want my pitch to be all the way to the left, meaning -1. That's what I want to do. Rotor small pitch accepts the standard value between -1 and 1, representing the desired pitch amount. And same with the roll. So I want those directions to match. I have -1 on A. I will be feeding it into the gyro, so the gyro will control the small corrections that I won't need to do. And gyro will output, like this is the gyro roll input, and it will output stabilized roll that I will be feeding here into the rotor, so I will have my roll stabilized by that gyro. Select tool lets you select different components and configure their properties, configure their names, configure different properties, and sometimes configure the exterior look of things. This is what I will be doing right now. So in terms of helicopter rotors, we have blade count, tune parameter, blade pitch, blade length, and stuff like that. So in terms of helicopter rotor, this doesn't affect blade performance at all. If I switch from 4 blades to 2 blades, I will have the same lift as I do with 4 blades or 5 blades or 7 blades or whatever is the maximum amount. The maximum amount is 8 blades. Oh my god, that thing looks like a mincer. I will go with 2 blades, and the blade pitch will be neutral. I'm not sure if that affects, honestly. I don't remember why I'm always using neutral, but I always start with neutral on helicopters. Okay, doesn't really matter much at this point. Just do as I do, or experiment on your own. You're free to do so anyway. That's the beauty of the sandbox. You can do whatever, you can experiment, you can just, I don't know, flip over, explode stuff, especially if you're in the creative like I am. Blade length, 0%. Does that look proportional to the aircraft? I'll make it 15. Yeah, so this is only for the looks. I only want it to be kind of proportional to the aircraft size. Alright, that looks better. That works for me. Okay, I'm good with the blades. Let's start off with the engine. I will place a dummy block here because I'm not sure if I can place the clutch first. This block is a placeholder for the clutch. There will be a clutch out there. I hope that we won't need a lot of gearboxes. Damn, I didn't really think about it. About the gearing. Well, whatever. Let's experiment. Let's make this thing fly. And modular engines. By the tag modular, you can find all the modular engine components. There are different clutches, different engines. You can find more specific tutorial than mine. In terms of building modular engines, I will just start small. Start as I'm used to build them. And just make a small modular engine for propelling our aircraft up and forward. So this is the crankshaft block. The 4 sides that are kind of blank are for cylinders, for pistons. The other 2 sides are the actual crank output. So I want this to face forward and backward, and I 1, 2, 3. I want 3 crankshaft modules for my 3 pistons. You can actually place up to 4 banks of pistons on one crankshaft. On every side of the crankshaft you can place pistons. but it's hard to manage. So you basically usually go with one bank or two banks, like a V engine or a flat engine. I am placing 3 pistons. Need to make sure that the blank side on the piston that you see, it's kind of my god, it's kind of matching each other in terms of like facing. So we have the top of the piston, which is completely blank, the bottom of the piston that is matching, or of the cylinder, yeah, it's rather like the cylinder that is matching face with a crankshaft block. That's where you want to connect a crankshaft, and the other 4 faces of piston are manifold connections. So basically it's like the cylinder and cylinder head all in one. Alright, so this is my engine. This is how I want it to be connected. We need to place 4 things into this. We need to have cooling. Sometimes you can omit doing that. Basically, maybe I can go with the air-cooled. I will try air-cooled to not mess with the coolant and pumping. We will need fuel, we will need air intake, and we will need exhaust. Yeah, that's the basic things you need in your aircraft. Exhaust. I think about placing exhaust out there. So about the placing manifolds, the cylinder banks that are connected next to each other, they are one bank, and the intakes going in that one bank will feed all the cylinders. You don't need to care about that, but if, for example, if you go for another bank, there, you will need either connect those manifolds. There are special manifolds to connect them like this. Corner manifold. As you can see, it has 2 faces to connect to the pistons, to the cylinders rather. And you can connect the cylinder banks to feed each other with it, but that's the topic for another video probably. Okay, exhaust. I can actually take the, no, it's the curved exhaust. I need a straight one. This is the exhaust manifold, straight, that I will be connecting to the back of the engine, like this. But your exhaust manifold is not enough to take exhaust gases out. You will need either fluid exhaust, this piece, or any kind of fluid port. You can use this. This is like more like an intake one in terms of looks. In terms of performance, they're all the same. This one is more performant. Those 2 are the same thing. They're just different by the look. And I believe that this port only accepts or throws fluid from one side, from this side, while this one can take it from the 5 sides. I'm not sure about it though. I will not be using those anyways, as I will be using fluid exhaust like this. Yeah, looks like a shotgun. Looks good. Looks nice. Oh my god, I will be painting it dark gray, so it looks like some carbon or carbonized. It's up to you. There's no catalytic converter. If you're tired of the smoke coming out of your pipes, you can place catalytic converters. It's a thing. If you place 2 on one pipe, it will completely delete the smoke from it, but I won't be placing those. Why? Because I don't care about the environment. Just a joke. I do, but that's not the point. Okay, let's delete some of this. And place a clutch. Without a clutch, you cannot get your RPS out of the engine. For the modular engines, you need to use a correct clutch to get the RPS out, because it won't work. If you will place this clutch or 1x1 clutch on a 5x5 engine, which actually needs that type of clutch, and it has the mashing face to the 5x5 crankshaft. Yeah, if you won't place corresponding clutch, you won't be able to take the RPS out of it. It will just not work. So the clutch has a matching side to the engine as well, you see. Yeah, we are placing it on the crankshaft block, like this. Should be fine. And now we need to split. I think we need to split our torque, our momentum between the rear tail rotor and main rotor, because main rotor will probably need some gears. So let's place it like that. Remember, pipes act as a drive shaft for your engines and your endpoints. So I will be deleting this. I will be deleting those blocks all the way. This is our gyro. We don't want to delete the gyro. We want to do it like this, and there all the way up to the rotor. Okay. And now I will be using enclosed pipes. You can use whatever pipes. It's about sealing the compartments and about aesthetics. Okay, I will be using those enclosed pipes to make a way out from the rotor to the back, to the engine. This is our angle pipe. This is another angle pipe. And another angle pipe. And now we have the way we need. Do we? Yeah, we do. Okay, now it's just a straight pipe all the way to here. But we'll be using a gearbox in here as well. And all of this should also be pipe, like that. So we can transfer that momentum, that torque, to our tail rotor that we don't currently have. Pipe angle enclosed here, and one gearbox. Honestly, I don't know, maybe this will be just enough RPS to make this helicopter fly, but just in case I don't have enough, if I want to increase my RPS, I will place a gearbox there. Remember that the arrow on the gearbox, the small one, always points to the place of the smaller, to direction of the smaller number. If you go to the select tool, you can see the gear ratios. So if I select, for example, 3:1, the white part of the arrow will be 3, and the direction the arrow is looking will be 1. If I go another way, it will be 3:1 reduction. So I will have 3 times more torque and 3 times less RPS on the rotor, but I want it to be the other way around. Maybe. I'm not sure at this time. So I will going 1:1 right now. And let's continue outfitting our engine. So is this okay, this is a wedge block as well. Okay, no, I want to do this some more fancy way probably. How fancy? How fancy we want to go? How fancy we can go? Alright, if we go here. Okay, this is fine. This is nice. This works for me. Let's go with type in manifold. You will get all the modular engine manifolds that you need. This is the air manifold. Sadly, there's no straight. You can only get it sideways. So you need to account for that. I will be placing it on the last cylinder, pointing upwards. Then I will get this pipe to the side. And this is where I will be using that fluid port that looks like grid, like grates, something like this. Now we have exhaust out, and we have our air in. So now what we need is fuel. We need a fuel and place some auxiliary stuff to help our engine get to speed. Meaning we need a alternator. We need alternator, and we need a starter. There are a few ways to do it. You can go the big way when you use like the generators. From small to any. And electric motors. From small to any. But if you're going with smaller engines, we are talking 1x1 cylinders, small cylinders. If we're talking engines like inline 4, 5, 6, up to 8 cylinders, basically if you're using up to 8 cylinders, you can go with the belt drive. You can go with the belt drive and make it very similar to a car engine. With belt drive, we can use belt-driven alternator, belt-driven pump if you need a pump, and belt-driven starter. You want to match them. So you see again on the side of the belt drive there's a port, and on our alternator there's a port, and there's a belt that need to go on the belt wheel. How's that called in English? I'm sorry. I don't remember how this thing's called. But basically you should understand the concept. It should look like it's driven by the belt. The belt actually disappears where it's when it's placed correctly. I don't know if you place it incorrectly, does it disappear as well? Yeah, it disappears as well. Okay, yeah, just pay attention to this, alright? Pay attention to this and you'll be fine. Let's go with the starter. Belt starter. Place it like this. Nice and compact. Nice and compact. I think that's alright. Yeah, our passengers will definitely be deafened by the engines right by them. I think I will move that stuff forward and just make a... Yeah. I will definitely need to move this because I will need to place a microcontroller somewhere, and the microcontroller will be probably part of the wall, so let's do it now. Let's select our padded seat. There we go. And now we extend our grid to the right to include a second seat, and to the bottom, so we can include this like under the seat space. We cut, we paste. With clear selection, we go to merge, we merge the subgrids. There we go. We are wonderful. We are wonderful. All right. Symmetry. Nice. Take symmetry off. Fuel tank. Oh, fluid tank. Is it? You can just type tank and find what you need. Alright, fluid tank. I want to place it here. So, alright. In terms of fluid tanks, we will need to ventilate the tank so it doesn't suck all the pressure out of the tank. And here we will be using some smart life hack. Let's delete this wall for a little bit. Hold it. We'll be using some smart life hack about fluid dynamics in Stormworks to ventilate our tank. So what we want to do here is we want our fuel manifold, modular engine fuel manifold, we want it to be facing downwards. There. Okay. Then we will have a pipe. We will have a pipe under our manifold to feed into the fuel tank. Next, we will have a T junction to ventilate our tank and also use it as our refueling port, because pipes can act as both drive shafts, air pipes, and fluid pipes. Moreover, they can do it simultaneously. So if you are not exceeding the pipe flow, as our pipe flow here will be pretty low. We don't need a lot of air to ventilate the tank, and we don't need a lot of flow to refuel our aircraft. So what we'll be doing is we will be ventilating and refueling our fuel tank from the same port. And it's possible. And yes, it's legal. It's completely legal to do. It's a life hack that you can use. The only question is, can I cram this? Because I want to place the filters. I want to place, yeah. How's it called? Filters? Valves. Alright, so the fluid anchor won't let anything in or out if not connected, if I'm not mistaken. Alright, let's delete this block. Oh no, it's an angle block. I don't want to ruin this part, honestly. But I don't want it to be the mess of pipes. Okay. As we go tight, really tight, we'll do it like this. Copy the fuel tank and make the port face this side. Alright, there we go. Let's go. Fuel manifold facing this direction. This is fine. Now we place a T-junction here and T-junction here. Anchor is our code word for mount points. This is the fluid hose anchor that lets you connect the fuel hose, basically a refueling port. We will be refueling from there, and this way we will install a gas relief valve. That means that no liquid. How to know this is a gas relief valve? If we paint it, it has a white stripe. Because a liquid relief valve has a black stripe on it. Make sure you know the difference. Let's paint it back to white. We place a gas relief valve, so we make sure no fuel escapes through the port we place to the side. It will be just the same port. But at the same time, we know that the air can get through and equalize the pressure inside our fuel tank. Our fuel tank is diesel by default. We can name it our main fuel tank. And that's the initial fill level. Yeah, you can fill it 50%, 1%, 0%, whatever you want. It's a sandbox game. Now, our engine is ready. Our fuel and air lines are ready. Our fuel tank is ready. What else? We don't have a tail rotor. We don't have a battery. We don't have any kind of information about the flight. We don't have anything except the basic controls, and we didn't hook up anything so far. Let's start with the battery. I see we have a very nice little place out here that can be used by a small electric battery. Fine. This is fine. Let's save. Save the Bobby. Next, tail rotor. Tail. There we go. There it is. really small, real big. Oh my god, what is this? Alright, so this has a sideways pump connection by default. Not pump, RPS. Pipe. Alright, plus will be left and minus will be right. I believe this is not correct. X is 3, left, right. -1 is left and positive is right. No, that doesn't fit. That doesn't fit. We want to... Yeah. Oh wait. I messed it up. How do I keep that? Can I like only use it with a on the right side? Yeah, it looks like no left side tail rotor. Let's configure this. My goodness, why is it so big? Why is it so big? It's huge. I want it to be smaller, but I can only make the main rotor smaller. I'm disappointed, honestly. Let's make a nice fancy small tail here. Like this. Yeah, save the bobby. Okay, our total cost right now is just under $3,000. And the mass is 296 kilos. Let's have an initial look. Let's have an initial look on the bobby. How the bobby's looking. The bobby's looking fabulous. Fabulous little helicopter. Compact pilot seat. Almost no vision whatsoever on anything. But we don't care. We don't care. This is all about being compact. Not about some vision or blah blah blah. Alright. Alright. Let me think for a second. Okay, let's cover it up. Let's cover this up, and this place will hold our microcontroller for controlling our engine. This is basically the only thing we want to control with a microcontroller is engine, because everything else will be controlled by the gyro. Or the seat. Alright. Let's place microcontroller somewhere. Any microcontroller will do. We just want to make sure it won't delete anything when we resize it. So I can place it here and here. No. I know it will delete something. Alright, let's place it right there. And our hole is 3x4. 3x5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 3x5. Alright, let's go. Width 3, length 5. We'll delete that. Update. Okay, our microcontroller is now big enough. So let's select it. Cut. Rotate. And put in place. Like this. And you see, we have a nice wall out there that is also a microcontroller, that is also kind of protecting our passengers from what's in the back. Paste it, merge it, ready. I just realized we actually have plenty of space, even after cramming the engine inside of it. Which is amazing. I love it. Alright. Let's connect our gyro. Let's connect our gyro. So, axis 1, A and D, I want to connect to be able to control the roll with it. So, gyro roll. Gyro stabilized roll goes to the main rotor. Main rotor roll. Alright. Left and right will be controlling yaw, the tail rotor. You can control it directly, but if you want your aircraft to be a little bit more stable and not to like spin left and right constantly, go with the gyro as well. Gyro yaw, stabilized yaw to tail rotor. Nice. Up down will be our altitude, upwards and downwards movement. We go to up down, and stabilized up down, we connect with the collective. Collective changes the pitch of the whole rotor assembly. So we can either have zero upward force or have the force applied. And with WNS, I want to connect the roll. We go with all the same, not the roll, the pitch. Yeah, the pitch, stabilized pitch to the propeller pitch. Save so we don't lose anything. We fine. Next is auto hover. On the most of the helicopters, you probably want it to be always on. So we will be setting up our our microcontroller, so it will be always automatically hover. Now we need some electricity work. And in terms of electricity, you should always try to connect everything with the electric breaker, because it can pay out. If you get anything damaged, like especially if you have a lightning strike, stuff like that, you always want to be able to switch off your battery. Or if you're leaving your aircraft and you don't know if anything is leaking energy, if you forget to turn off any lights, you don't want just to be stranded with zero battery and no ability to start off the motor. So you always want to connect your battery to other appliances through the electric breaker. And I think this is the perfect place we can place it. So let's place electric breaker in there. Wait, not electric. Electric circuit breaker. That's it. There we go. And let's connect our first connection. Connect battery to either A or B, it doesn't matter, just make sure battery is connected to one side and everything else is connected to the other. So let's connect battery to starter, alternator, gearbox. No, we don't need to connect gearbox, we won't be switching gears. And to the gyro. There we go. We are doing amazing today, people. We are doing amazing. Next up, engine control. Engine control. Let's go to the microcontroller and get some stuff done. Okay, Bobby, let's call it Bobby control board. Description will be small tutorial helicopter microcontroller. Alright. And nodes. Let's update the microcontroller and see which kind of nodes we probably want to use. So we definitely need to use the auto hover. We need to take a look at the engine RPS. We need to take a look at the engine temperature. We want to control fuel throttle and air throttle. We want to monitor fuel level and control the starter and alternator. With said microcontroller. So let's try not to forget what we want to do in there. And let's add some nodes. Alright, first node. Let's call it auto hover. I won't be putting in the description. Can't bother. This will be on-off output. Let's see how we can use it. We want the auto hover to be always on, so that node should be always receiving on signal. We have a tool for that. It's called constant on-off. We have arithmetic constant, which is constant number, and logical constant, which is constant on. We place it here, connect, and there we go. What do we have? Update the microcontroller. Now we have one output node on it that is called auto hover, and it's sending always on signal. So we can place it here. Auto hover. Alright, what about the starter? We can control the starter with a seat. Yeah, the starter is just on-off input. Alright. Let's control it with a seat with hotkey 1. Let's call it starter. And switch the mode to the push. So we don't... You just basically push it for a second or two. And when the engine started, you're good to go. Also, I just realized we probably want to be able to switch our engine off. So I probably need to insert a key or something to control the ignition. Key button. Can I place it here? Yes, perfect. Key button. 1 second, default state off, and it will be called ignition. Ignition button will need electricity, so we connect it from our breaker. Go back to the microcontroller. Edit is 3 dots in there. Select it with the select tool, go in the 3 dots. You're there. Back into design. One node, add, drag it somewhere so they don't overlap. On-off input, yes. Ignition input. Yes. Update it and connect it with data from the hotkey 1. No, not hotkey 1. We are controlling starter with hotkey 1. Let's connect that. And we connect the ignition input from the starter key. Now, when the starter key is active, we are receiving that ignition to the microcontroller. What do we want with that ignition input? Well, basically, we want to control the engine throttle. The engine throttle, the air and fuel throttle, we want to control from the microcontroller, and we want ignition to take part. So how do we do it? Let's first create some nodes. Let's create 2 nodes, drag them away. First node would be number output, which is air throttle. Controls air delivery. Second will be number output fuel throttle. So think of it as air throttle is the throttle body, and the fuel throttle is like a carburetor or injector. It throttles the fuel. You can build a forced induction motors in Stormworks. But again, this is a whole other complicated topic. I won't be getting deep into this. Fuel throttle controls fuel delivery. Nice. Now we have them. Take care that they are spawning in the same place always. So let's drag it a little bit away. You can select all of them, multiple things, and drag them. All right, ignition input and air throttle and fuel throttle. How do we control these guys? So for naturally aspirated diesel in Stormworks, you need to deliver half of the air throttle to the fuel throttle. So if this is 1, you want to have 0.5 of the fuel. How we can do this? Well, we can use a function. Remember functions from school? That's where you start using them. In the Stormworks build and rescue. Honestly, this will be just a... You can rewind, like, speed up the video because I will be ranting a little bit. Basically, this is the first time in my life when I got really interested in math and Boolean logic. It's the Stormworks. It's the game. It's the game that is a lot like Roblox. It's not really a kid's game because of all the stuff, but it's such a gamified math. I actually started to be interested in math and functions and remembering stuff from school I didn't even know that I know. This is where you start to get into it. So, the scary symbols, the function of x, this is what we need. You select it, this menu it's still there. Press tab to get rid of it. We place this function in the beginning, in front of the fuel throttle. You can mash those as much as you like, but I just try to keep them logical and tied together and not far from spawn, because when you try to like get another node working and all your stuff is all the way down, you just start looking for it. It's not very convenient. So keep it nice, keep it clean, keep it convenient, you will get used to it. It's not that hard. It's really not that hard, I promise. Function of x. We want the half, we split that in 2. X divided by 2. Delivered into fuel throttle output. Now, which numbers we are delivering, and how do we control it with ignition input? Our best friend here is numerical switchbox. There are 2 types. One is junction, which decides on the 2 outputs, and switchbox, which decides on the 2 inputs. I rarely use the junctions. I mostly use the switchboxes because they have their own use cases, and I found the numerical switchbox very useful in what I'm doing. Alright, so what does numerical switchbox do? It takes 2 values and decides the output, which we will be using as air throttle. You do this by dragging here. If drag again to disconnect. If you want to connect to multiple, hold Control, release here, and click here. Beautiful. So this controls on 2 numbers. and decides by this switch signal state which number it wants to use. So our ignition input will be the one to control the switch signal. And if the ignition input is off, which is this node, second value off, we want our throttle to be 0 for engine to shut down. I will be using constant number. I have it on the quick panel. You can drag things in and out of here. Very convenient. I have the stuff that I use often. Constant number here, it's 0 by default. So when ignition input is off, second value off, we want it to be 0. And that's it. That's it. Now our engine will stop when we turn off the key, when the key is not on. But how it will get on? Like, we don't have any throttle input, right? Let's fix it. We want our throttle input to be 1 as long as we don't exceed certain RPS, because our engine, first, it will guzzle fuel, second, it will deliver enormous amount of heat, and third, it is not efficient to run engine at the higher RPS. Basically, it all goes back to guzzling fuel, but it's about like power delivery to fuel consumption ratio. So with modular engines, as soon as you go higher than 10-12 RPS, you don't get that increase in power that you get in fuel consumption. You consume much more fuel for diminishing returns, basically. So if you need to go higher than 12 RPS, this is not actually like very true, because I use engines that go like 18, 25 RPS just for funsies and just to keep them compact. If you're out of space like we are, maybe you want to run higher RPS. But we will try to run our RPS as low as possible. So we want to deliver our throttle until we hit that sweet spot. How do we do this? Well, we don't have anything to control RPS right now. So let's head back to design. Actually, let's save our microcontroller. Let's draw a small helicopter. Does it look like a helicopter? Please forgive me my drawing skills. Let's just imagine it's our helicopter. It's Bobby. Let's save it. New. Bobby PCB. Updated. So how do we control the RPS? Well, on every crankshaft node, on every crankshaft block, there's a node that gives RPS output. So we can read it and we can use it. We see it's a number output, so we want to make a corresponding input on the microcontroller. Let's do it. Grab another node, drag it somewhere, select number input, RPS, engine speed, that is. Now, you see the node spawned here. Now we have a node where we can read the RPS from, and we can control our throttle with it. So let's do it the hard way, I guess. Let's make constant number of 1. That means full throttle. And get it here. Well, what does it mean? That means that as long as the ignition is on, we are getting full throttle. And our engine will throttle up until it runs out of fuel or gets a fire. We want to limit it using the RPS node which is created. How do we do this? Well, we can do it with a threshold. Let's disconnect that. Make another numerical switch box right here. We fit this one into this one. So this one is the last one. It's like a safety of sort. Like the more important the switch box is, it will probably be closer to the actual output. But it's not always the case. I never really tracked how it is. So engine RPS. But this is a number output. How do we control an actual numerical switch box with it? We can use a threshold node. What does a threshold do? It takes 2 values, and when the value input, which is RPS, is in between the two, it outputs on signal. Otherwise, it will output off signal. Let's connect it. And low threshold is of course 0. We want full throttle and 0 RPS. And the high threshold will be 10 RPS, which will be our red line. Soft cap. Alright. If this is on, we want full engine speed. What do we want if this is off? I'd say we don't want a 0. We don't want a 0, let's make it 0.2. Because I don't know how the helicopter will affect on the RPS drop if we drop it like real hard. So let's make it 1, like full throttle on 0 to 10 RPS. 0.2 if it's higher. And 0 if our ignition is off. This is our most basic engine control system that we can set up for this helicopter. And at this point, we can actually, with this amount of work, which is not a lot, I think, we can try to fly the helicopter. We can actually try if it's flyable, if it's actually worthy. Gearbox connected 3 to 1, or is it 1 to 1? Now it's 1 to 1. We need to see if it will actually fly with 10 RPS. Does it have enough power? Does it have enough rotations per second? How's our controls are behaving? Let's see the gyro, max throttle. It's all set to 100%. I would recommend to set everything to about 30%. So your helicopter will be a lot more smooth. It will be a lot more smooth. It's $3,032 helicopter. And I think we can already fly this thing. Okay, turn on the circuit breaker. Turn on the ignition. And 1 is for starter. Oh no, it crashed. I'll be right back. Yeah, this is exactly why you want to save your stuff. Why you want to save your stuff often, because I spawned a helicopter and it crashed. Let's spawn it again. Open Bobby. Spawn it and try to run it again. I'm in another hangar. Doesn't matter. Turn the circuit breaker on. Turn the ignition on. Starter. Oh no! We didn't control the clutch. Our clutch is stalling. It receives 0 output. Also, we didn't connect any of the actual microcontroller. Let's fix it. Let's connect fuel throttle to fuel manifold, air throttle to air manifold, RPS to crankshaft, and clutch pressure. We can control it with the air throttle, I believe. Yeah, let's try it. And we can control alternator clutch pressure with it. I think our helicopter is not dragging that much power out of the engine. I think we can do all that. You will need to build a lot more sophisticated systems for other vehicles, but for now, I think we can just get away with it. Ignition on. Starter. Well, the engine definitely started, and it definitely works. What about our helicopter? Oh no! It's spinning, but doesn't lift off. Alright, first of all, I think I need a positive kinda... not a pitch. It's blade pitch, right? I need a positive blade pitch on the tail rotor. Yeah, so it doesn't spin. I hope this will work. Blade pitch, positive. Save. Let's go. And I think I will need to change the gearing as well. Oops. Circuit breaker. Starter. Nope. Nope. Is it spinning faster when I'm not applying the collective? I'm not sure. Alright, let's respawn. Let's place a gearbox there. And let's make it 3-to-1. Save. Spawn again. I think we just can't... We don't have enough yaw control to compensate for the move. Oh no. Okay, I did actually place the tail rotor wrong, I believe. I don't understand. If the plus is this side, shouldn't it be... Okay, I don't know. Yeah, let's place it this side, neutral. Yeah, 2 blades, neutral. Let's go. Oh my god, it's so small. Ignition, starter. It's still spinning. Yeah, it's definitely spinning faster now. But the tail rotor, is it connected correctly? It's not connected! I forgot to connect it. I replaced the rotor. Yeah, that's one of the small naughty mistakes that can get you. They get you every time. They get you every time in Stormworks. Let's try again. It is indeed still spinning. It's still spinning, indeed. Right, let's apply gears once again. Let's hope this time we get it right. 3, 2, 1, go maximum gears. I don't actually know if there's a correct ratio for it. No, the breaker. Seems like we don't have enough power to lift off. Okay. Clutch. Let's control our clutch better, because the clutch can make a lot of difference. The power in Stormworks actually works I don't know how to explain it. It's not logical. The power delivery is not logical. Let's get number output. Let's make it clutch. And actually, let's control it by RPS. Let's have a function and just apply 1/10 of the RPS that we have. So we can only have full clutch at full RPS. It will be X divided by our red line. And we will be only applying clutch when our RPS is above. Actually, let's do it even more sophisticated. It will be X minus 2. So the clutch will start applying only after we reach 2 RPS, which is our engine stall. Below 2 RPS, diesel engines don't work. And divided by remaining RPS that we have. So we have 2 plus 8 is 10. We have X minus 2 and divided by 10. Divided by 8, sorry. So when we have, for example, if we have 10 RPS here, minus 2, it will be 8. Divided by 8, we have 1. So this is max clutch and 10 RPS. There we go. Save Bobby PCB. Update it. Save the helicopter again. Update it. Let's go. I hope that will be much better now. Oh, look at this startup. It's so much easier now. Can we take off? I think we don't have enough rotations in the main rotor. Yeah, we need to increase rotations in the main rotor. That's why I placed the gearbox there. Let's make it twice as fast. Ratio off. We don't set them on, we don't control them, so the ratio on won't do anything. We only aim at the ratio off. That's what we do. Let's go. Did I connect the clutch though? I did not. I'm stupid. Here we have the clutch control. We connect it there. We save it. We spawn the vehicle. Yeah. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. Oh, 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 it flies, it flies. We fly. But there's still something weird happening with the yaw. I think I need to increase the yaw authority in the gyro. Okay, and now we turn the ignition off. And the blades stop. Well, our goal is achieved. But let's make some funsies and fancies, right? Alright, let's increase authority to 100%. Let's make it flyable and then install some something nice. Something nice to help us fly well and fly far. I think I just needed to increase the yaw authority, but not to place the gearbox on the... Oh my god. I think that Rotor is just dragging me along. Or is it wind? I don't know. Let's play this thing. Look! It's Bobby's first steps! It's Bobby's first steps in the big world. I think I can make a thumbnail out of it. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go. Oh, it's small and adorable. Not the best thing to fly, though. Definitely not the best. You can do better. Just, take it as base. And do your helicopter better than mine is. Alright, it actually flies. We know that it does. And now we can install some, controls. Some... Not controls. We need some gauges, some tooling for the pilot. Alright, let's install artificial horizon. Let's install it here. Alright, let's switch that for compass. Doesn't get any more useful than that. And actually, we need some gauges. We need some gauges to see our speed, altitude, temperature, and fuel level. Yeah. This is where we will get into instrument panel, and this is where we will get into the composites. Into the packing and unpacking the composites. That is important. Let's check if I can place... instrument cluster in here. Can I? No. Right, artificial curl. Oh, I cannot place it here. Why though? Oh, because it's part of the seat. Okay, we'll place it in front of the passenger. Won't be as useful to look on. But, okay. So... let's configure it to our needs. We will leave that as the dials. But we will make more or less human readable values and labels on that. So the first one will be altitude. Let's make it altitude. It will be 0 to maybe 500. Channel in number, we will leave it as 1. Our second gauge, it goes like left, right, top, bottom. So it will be top right is the instrument 2. It will be our speed maybe, fuel level, RPS. I don't know. Let's make it speed. Let's make it miles per hour. And it will be 0 to 100. And we'll need to switch the channel so they don't interfere. All the dials are the input channels. If we switch any instrument, for example, for a button, it will be output channel. It will be composite output. But we won't be changing it for a button. We will be changing it back to the dial, and it will be fuel in liters. 0 to... what's the capacity of the fuel tank? I don't remember. Let's make it like 150. Channel number 3. And the fourth one, we can make it RPS or battery. RPS is kind of automatic. We need engine temperature, right? Alright, let's make it engine temperature. Engine temp. 0 to... well, 80 is kind of the safety margin. So let's make it 80. And it will be channel number 4. Channel 3, channel 4. Alright. Let's mark them with color. Temperature will be... you need additive to change the backlight. Temperature will be, of course, the red. Fuel will be orange. Altitude and speed will make both blue, or... no, let's make speed green, and altitude will be blue. Alright, and the other will be just warm yellow. We can also place a spotlight in the front, but maybe later. Cabin lights, spotlights. Let's just make this cluster work. Get some hang off the composites, and that's it. And we will see our helicopter basically almost ready to go. Almost safe to fly. Alright, let's head back to our control board and add a lot of nodes. So what would we need? We will need one node, which will be number input for the altimeter. We need a second node, number input, which will be speedometer. Another node, number input, will be fuel level. And fourth node, that's an interesting one. It will be composite input, which will be cylinder 1 information. And for our instrument cluster, we need a composite output. Let's call it just like that. Instrument cluster output. Save it, update it. Let's connect those things. First, let's go with the simpler ones. Altimeter. All right. We don't have altimeter right now, but we can fix it real quick. We can install it. I want to install it in there. Yeah, and the speed sensor can be in there. They don't need to be open. You can install them anywhere in the closed space. It will be fine. Let's go altimeter. There we go. It doesn't have anything about it you can change. It just have one node which measures altitude in the meters above sea level. Let's connect it. Speedometer, altimeter. There we go. Next one is the linear speed sensor. You want the speed sensor to face the direction of movement in case you want to use it the same way as I do, as I'm measuring directional speed. It has 4 modes: absolute speed, like everything above 0, horizontal speed, vertical speed, and directional speed. In some more complex aircraft, you probably want to use directional, vertical, and horizontal separately for like true airspeed, vertical speed, whatever. I will be just using directional as it is simple and readable. And it also has only one output, linear speed. We connect it to speedometer. Let's make them back in with wedges. Oh. Yep, this is connected. And the next one is fuel tank. Fuel tank has 2 readings, which is tank pressure and tank content. We don't care about the pressure as we have the tank ventilated. We care about tank content. We connect that to fuel level. Let's save the Bobby. And let's head to composite. So first we want to connect our instrument cluster output to the cluster in signal. That composite output will be controlling our small dials. The cluster also has the output node. In case you are using the buttons, in case you are not only receiving but also transmitting information, like you have buttons in here, you will be using the out signal as well. If you don't use it, it will show the warning sign always. So just ignore it. Basically, you will be often see this warning sign on the instrument panel. Just ignore it, really. It won't go away. It's just like the check engine light. Okay, another node is our cylinder 1 information. That's one more interesting. That's where we'll be unpacking composite signals, because every cylinder has composite signal with 3 values. First value is air volume, meaning this is channel 1. Second channel is fuel volume, and third volume is temperature. We don't care about our air and fuel volume. We're not calculating AFR, air-fuel ratio, with this one, but we need to check on the temperature, how healthy our engine is. So we connect it in here, and I will show you how to deal with those. Let's go, and until we forgot the stuff we were dealing with, let's read that engine information real quick. Let me drag those around. Cylinder information. How do we get that temperature that we need? So we remember that this is value number 3. We use composite read number. Temperature is a number. We use composite read number, and we use third channel. We use third channel for temperature. And that's it. And now we need to write those numbers back to composite to fit it into the cluster. So we use a composite write number node. We start with channel 1 as we have first channel started on the cluster, and channel count will be 4 to the number of our instruments in the cluster. We connect it to the output, and now I need to remember which was which. I believe it was like that. It was altitude, then speed, then fuel level, then engine temperature. And this is it. So we read the composite from the cylinder, compose it with other numbers, write it into the composite output, and feed it into the cluster output. And this is it. This is just a little bit messy, but this is not hard. This is not hard. Save the Bobby. Let's make sure once again that everything is connected. Electricity? Yeah, we need electricity to that. We need electricity to that. And also they have the backlight, and we probably want the backlight to be on when the pilot is occupying the seat. So let's just connect the backlight to it. And this is it. I think the Bobby is ready for the voyage for $3,365. Just think about it. Just think about it. Let's turn it on and check on the readings. Altitude 2119. Is that right? Well, we're not on the sea level. Speed 0. Fuel 139. Temperature, I didn't actually made anything to the speed, so it doesn't show the miles per hour, it shows meter per second. This is my fault. We need to multiply the speed in meters per second to get miles per hour. So this is the fancy function, is that you have all those hints in there. So conversions. Meters per second to miles per hour, it's x by 2.236, and we can stop on that. You don't really need all those numbers. Don't really need all that precision. 223 will work just as well. If you don't go hypersonic speeds, it's more than enough. Alright, so it will be meters per second multiplied by 2.236. We fit it into the speedometer, and then this is how we receive miles per hour. Alright. Now, Bobby. Come on, Bobby. We gotta do it, Bobby. We gotta do it. Let's see where we can fly with this thing. Let's go to the hospital. We might need it in the end of the flight. So hospital is to our southwest. We have a compass. I think we can do it. Engine temperature rising. Altitude. Speed. Alright, let's see. Oh my god. It's still dragging me so hard. I don't know why. Maybe it's the wind? I'm not sure. I'm not sure why it's working so bad. It's probably the wind. Alright, the speed, altitude. I think those readings are fine. Oh my god. Alright. Artificial horizon is actually not very visible. Not very visible. But let's make our first trip. Let's make our first trip to the hospital. Oh my god, the wind is so bad. This wind is horrifying in this small thing. But we can do it. We can do it. Bobby can do it. Well, the altitude is right, so I think we either have too much spin on the rear, on the tail rotor, or too little? I'm not exactly. Yeah, it's so small, you see, I can't really see most of the gauges. And I'm using my both hands to control it, because I don't have a joystick or anything like that. Don't have a controller. But it will be fun. Oh, there was a hospital. Let's see. There was. Look! Look! It flies. Built from the Block 1 to its maiden flight in just about 2 hours. So the concept is the same. The concept is like always the same. Just place a bigger motor, expand, like make a bigger helicopter, place bigger rotors, and you can do it with the same controls. You will need some tweaks probably, but you can do it. That's how the principles of the helicopter are already in your hand, in your mind. You can use it. This is the usable principle for building helicopters. You're now good to go and build your own creation. And this is how we arrive at the hospital. Place this thing down real gentle. Turn it off. And there we go. There we go. Our helicopter has actually made its first flight to the hospital. That's it. This is it. The end of the tutorial. That's all, folks. Yeah, you can leave. You can leave now. You can close the tab. You can close the tab, go into Stormworks, and build your own helicopter if you didn't already. Just go and build it. And just look how much space we have left. We have those 3 blocks that we can place like a flame fire extinguisher in here, a welder. You can place something in the back. Just be aware that this tail rotor will kill you, as well as the main rotor if you get into it. We have the floor that you can place stuff in it. You can place stuff under the seats. You actually have a ton of space to cram stuff into it. You have like 3 blocks wide in this. So you can place something in here as well. Place a fishing rod here. Place a rope. Place a cable. Place a charging port somewhere. Place your flashlight. Connect the flashlight to the battery so it will recharge. Just go, do it, build it. Build your own helicopter.